This reminds me of the pictures that are supposed to be from like the old gulag system where they have the guys who are like skeleton faces where it's like, yeah, that could be true, but it's not. Like they were horrifying pictures, but then somebody photoshopped them very convincingly.
Welcome to Nice Ashes. Join hosts Mike and Nate for cigars and culture. Let's go beyond the smoke.
What are we smoking today, Nate?
See, and I knew you were going to ask me that, so I don't know why I wasn't getting ready, and I was instead taking a drink of my beer. This is the Isla del Sol, and it says sun blessed on the bottom.
And it is a Robusto size.
Yes. I think I like the labeling, I guess. It's pretty cool. It's got the, personified sun thing, and...
packaging on this is excellent. Yeah.
Yes. It's got the tiny little banner near the end you light that says sun blessed. So I don't know if that's just their well wishes, like a fortune inside a fortune cookie, or if there's other ones that have kind of the same labeling but a different mini label near the bottom. Tough to say. Ooh, wow. Is this a flavored one, Mike? This cap is sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet.
I had the same reaction when I licked it, but I had my volume muted, and I think this is going to be cinnamon flavored. I got cinnamon off that cap.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think this is what we wanted the Fireball cigar to be.
Well, you know what? The Fireball cigar was I really liked the Fireball cigar. It was pretty good. We expected the Fireball cigar to be cinnamon, but if the Fireball cigar had been cinnamon, it would not have paired with the actual Fireball as well as the cigar did. So the Fireball cigar is not Fireball flavored cigar. It's a Fireball branded cigar that complements their Fireball whiskey.
Yes.
Which I think is an important distinction to make. Wow. Okay. That's a good wow. It's not a bad wow, everybody. This is, I think this is a very appropriate cigar to be smoking right now because Halloween is 2 days away.
Yes, it is.
And speaking of Halloween, I am pairing this with the Shell's Oktoberfest. Yet again, I've had it previously, this beer, but I'm having it again now because October, baby.
And I'm going to shock everybody. I'm pairing this with Guinness at room temperature.
What?
I know.
What?
I know. So what do you think so far?
First few puffs, you know what? I like it. It does have a cinnamon flavor, but it's not overly strong.
No, it's the end note. It's got a very sweet forward, a very sweet front, and then it gets into that smokiness of the cigar, and then the end of it is that cinnamon bite. It's this is what you want a flavored cigar to be. At least the start. The start of this is what you want a flavored cigar to be.
Yes, indeed. So what are we talking about, Mike?
Well, because I wasn't aware we were recording this episode until earlier today, I didn't pair it with Oktoberfest, and we're going to be talking about creepy stuff, I think. This is not my episode, Nate, so you're asking the wrong guy.
I know. This is I don't know how much setup I should do. I'll do a little bit of setup. This is going to be a little bit different style of an episode than we typically do. I guess, we're experimenting a little bit in our 4th season here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read verbatim a post here, and an internet post. And I don't remember when this was posted. It's been around for a long time.
A creepypasta, if you will. For those listeners who are not aware of what a creepypasta is, what is a creepypasta, Nate?
Dude, you're the meme lord, 4chan master guy. Creepypasta, from my understanding, and I haven't looked up exactly what creepypasta means or why it's called creepypasta, but I think it's one of those things that kind of makes like your skin crawl a little bit, or it's one of those things. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, they're feasibly real, usually not real stories, photos, or videos of just creepy shit. And some of them are based on real events, but exaggerated. Most of them are just made up fantasy stories that seemingly could be real.
Sure. And I don't think this one is made up, but again, it could be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the post as written. And I have a whole analysis after the post to explain what this is. Okay. A lot of things this could be. This could be a lot of different things. And one of those is it could just be made up. But there is some reason to believe this might not be made up, and this might be true. But that's the point, and that's why I didn't tell Mike about this. I mean, I told him kind of what it was in reference to, and he wasn't familiar with the reference, I don't think. So
this reminds me of the pictures that are supposed to be from like the old gulag system where they have the guys who are like
Sure.
skeleton faces, where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that could be true, but it's not. Like they were horrifying pictures, but then somebody photoshopped them very convincingly.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And, and this is good because Mike, not knowing about this story, will get his honest to goodness reaction. And if there's any listeners that aren't familiar with this story, Mike will hopefully mirror your responses and your questions. So this is an old Reddit post, and I think it's been since taken down, and it is titled A Parallel Life / Awoken by a Lamp. And the caveat is, it's a throwaway account because this is really personal. And I'm going to read this entry, and then we'll get Mike's reactions, and then we'll kind of go through the analysis of it. You ready, Mike?
I was born ready, Nate. I was born ready. Salad
Building
Fingers is on his way
Born
back.
ready. Hey,
Yeah.
they just put out a new Salad Fingers video. So
I did
he's
not know
dead.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
am I going to have to go look it up? I don't know if Sarah knows about Salad Fingers. If she doesn't, we're watching it on the TV in the living room.
Man, Salad Fingers is my favorite. I like when the red water comes out.
Oh my God.
Okay.
For those who have not watched Salad Fingers, you need to look it up. That and Tourette's Guy.
at least the first one. At least the first
No.
Salad Fingers.
If you watch all of Tourette's Guy and all of Salad Fingers, you have my freshman year in college. As long as you read The Dark Tower too.
Yep. And you know what? If you do that, drop us a line on Instagram and tell us you watched all of those, and we'll send you a free Nice Ashes sticker. How's that?
I'll even sign it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start reading this. This next bit are not my words. They are the words of this post. My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds. I was 120 pounds. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife bore me a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on a couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs, and had a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning, I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about that lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch, only to use the bathroom at first. Soon I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the fucking lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time, my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not fucking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain. A fucking shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk surrounded by people I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, walked me across the sidewalk and grass, and threw me face down in the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for an ambulance to arrive and give CT scans and shit. I went through about 3 years of horror depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane as I would cry myself to sleep hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says. And there was an edit 24 hours after the post. Never thought anyone would read this. I changed the line so that it no longer seems that my 2-year-old daughter bore me a child. I have never seen Inception or the Star Trek episode so many have mentioned, but I will eventually. I will not do an AMA. I have had many PMs describing similar experiences and 3 posters stating such experiences are impossible. I'd say more research needs to be done on brain functions. Pre-med students don't assume you know everything. A few have asked if they can write a book, screenplay, stage play, rage comic, etc. Please consider this tale open source and have fun with it.
That is a classic creepypasta. Also, those sort of stories are... I also looked up the Star Trek episode because there is a...
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Star Trek episode, and I looked it up. It is called The Inner Light, one of the best Star Trek episodes of all time. So if you haven't seen it, go find it on streaming and watch it. It's pretty good. But Yeah, this is like a common story. There might be truth to it, like the inner imagination and all, right? And we don't understand how the brain functions, and it's similar to
and traumatic experience and what's the brain response. And I know, and we'll get into more of this, but finish your impressions of this, Mike, and then we'll get into some more of it.
I was going to say that a consistent theme with these people who have these experiences is it's imagination land. So people go to heaven and talk to God, or they live an alternate life where they are the ideal form of themselves for however long the simulation runs, while your body and brain are trying to reconnect, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Like traumatic brain injuries, not a lot of things are understood about it. So,
yes. And, I guess I'm willing to believe that this one is true because it seemed like they just wanted to get it out. But as far as we know, I looked at the user. I think it's, let's see, the user is Temptotosoon or whatever. I don't know. TEMPTOTOSSSOON. So I don't know. You can look it up. I don't think this user's posted anything else other than this one thing. I think their account is deleted or whatever. And somebody else picked up this and copy pasted it into their own Reddit post to preserve it. So it really seems like it's one of those ones where it doesn't seem like they were going for the full creepypasta thing, or else they'd have a whole bunch more of them, or I don't know what. Who knows?
Right.
I mean, they did say throwaway account, but
yeah, it's seemingly legit, as far as an internet tale goes.
Well, yeah, you can't. I don't know. The validity of some of these are very difficult to discern. But I know that there's the God helmet study, which is scientists made a helmet that stimulates certain areas of the brain, and patients wearing this or test subjects wearing this claim to see, angels or God standing by their bed, and were able to interact with them and things. So the brain is very mysterious in certain circumstances, and the self-preservation evolutionary trait, let's say, is very, very strong. And if this person was missing teeth and was so severely injured that the police officer didn't wait for an ambulance, then the brain was probably doing what the brain does best in these circumstances and inventing something to take the mind off of all of the horrifying pain. And I know that time dilation, especially in dreams and anything kind of in your head, because I read somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, but that most of the dreams that you remember happen within the couple seconds as your alarm is going off, as you're coming out of sleep. So it's not like you're sleeping and having this crazy dream. It's like you're being woken up and your brain is making up this dream in real time, but it seems longer than the couple seconds it takes to wake up from sleep.
I've never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I just, I'm not a sleep doctor or anything. Usual caveats and yada, yada.
We're practitioners of bro science. Okay.
Yeah.
We do not verify these facts.
And it's like when people claim to have seen their entire life flashing before their eyes before they were going to die or soon to die or whatever. Can you really watch 60, 70, 80 years in a minute? Well, maybe. I don't know. The brain is crazy. It doesn't necessarily follow the laws of time, or it can. Perception is such that a second could be. What's the thing where it's talk to a pretty lady and a minute seems like a second, and try and plank and a minute seems like 3 years or something.
Sure.
I don't know. I might have mixed some things there, but it's something similar to that. Do something that's enjoyable and the time flies, and do something that's not enjoyable and seems to take forever. So the first possible explanation of this story is lucid dreaming and time dilation. And remember, this person said the dream lasted 10 years. So they spent what they thought was 10 years in this dream.
Right. That's a significant amount of time in your brain, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And to have that suddenly ripped away and then be back where you were, and none of the things you thought you had for 10 years are gone. So it says, time perception in dreams is highly variable. Though a dream might last minutes in real time, the brain can simulate entire days, weeks, or even years. The subconscious isn't bound by clock time. In lucid dreams, where a person becomes aware that they're dreaming, individuals can consciously control and remember experiences. Some even report decades-long dream experiences. And I've had some dreams, not recently, but I don't know, maybe when I was in college or something, where I knew I was dreaming and it felt more like a choose your own adventure book than it did being able to do whatever I wanted to do,
Yeah. So in college, I had a friend that lucid dreamed on purpose. And I've read some books on it, and I've had some dreams that are on the edge of lucid dreaming, but I'm not like flying or anything like that. I'm not really in control. If I become too conscious of what's going on, then I wake up, right?
Sure.
You kind of gotta just go with the flow, right? But you're kind of aware, like, I'm in a dream right now. This isn't real.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I said for me, it felt more like a choose your own adventure where, there's certain things that are pre-written and you can choose one of the options, but you're not necessarily getting full control.
Right. My friend claimed that he had full control. Like he said that
that's possible, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He said it was like being Superman because he would sleep like 12 hours a day. And and that's why, because he would actively lucid dream he claimed like 4 hours, which there's no reason for him to lie.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's pretty nuts, but more power to him. I mean, so, that's like a known phenomenon. And if this was in response to an injury, like who's to say what the brain might do in terms of survival, right?
Absolutely.
So this says that there's a famous case of a lucid dreamer reported to have lived an entire alternate life as a monk, complete with spiritual routines and community involvement, all during a short nap. It says the person in this story, however, did not initiate a lucid dream, making it less likely that he was able to direct the experience.
Right.
And here comes another pronunciation thing, Mike, and you're going to like this, maybe. I'm going to try and pronounce it the correct way. Endogenous DMT or other brain chemical events.
I think that's correct.
Okay. So DMT, dimethyltryptamine. It's a powerful psychedelic naturally found in the human brain and is often called the spirit molecule. And I believe that's what they were trying to trip with that God helmet experiment. During near-death experiences or deep unconscious states, the brain may release endogenous DMT, triggering hyper-real complex visions or experiences. Users of DMT report lifetimes of experiences in just minutes, emotional connections to people they've never met, and a sense that the world they enter is more real than reality. So the theory here is that the assault could have triggered a psychedelic flood, launching him into a fully immersive simulated life experience. That
is a definite real possibility.
Man, I think the creepy thing might not be the story, and it might be like the actual science behind why the story might be true.
Right. Like this just working from the idea that this person is telling the truth. There's got to be a reason for it. And that seems to be very likely.
Yeah.
Like all near-death experiences seem to be based on, like I say, you're entering a fantasy land that you're not necessarily in control of, but your brain is generating that.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is.
And therefore you're believing it.
Right. You believe it and it pleases you because it's based on your wants and desires and fears and whatever, not anybody else's.
The next theory or explanation here is simulation theory and glitches in reality. So simulation theory proposes that reality may be a highly sophisticated simulation, like a video game or virtual experience, and glitches, such as the sudden focus on an object, in this case the lamp, may act as triggers or flaws in the simulation, or like deja vu in the Matrix, right? So the lamp could represent a break in continuity that woke him from one simulated life into another, or a cross point or visual key that activated his return. This theory suggests he wasn't dreaming, but he was living in a different simulated timeline that he somehow slipped into and out of.
Sure. I don't know if there's any evidence for that.
Well, no. I mean, the second one seems most likely in my mind so far, but we're looking at everything, so.
Well, hopefully they get pretty fanciful, Simulation theory isn't that fanciful. It's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's a lot of people that enjoy that and a lot of people that chew bubble gum and swallow it for that same reason.
Once every 7 years.
Yep.
Got it on my calendar.
Yeah, you don't have to get Windows 11 if you swallow bubble gum now. All right, parallel universes, multiverse theory. According to the multiverse theory, there could be an infinite number of parallel universes where every possible outcome plays out. This person may have briefly slipped into an alternate timeline where he made a different life choice. Got married, found somebody else. This slip could have been temporary, triggered by a neurological or quantum event, and the lamp might have acted as a catalyst or anchor, pulling him back. Some scientists, like Hugh Everett, of the many worlds interpretation, propose that all possible histories exist simultaneously, and crossing between them is theoretical, but not disproven.
Sure.
And I think that's like the M-wave stuff, right? Where they're trying to explain the universe and how all the matter got here. If you can't create or destroy energy or matter, and it just transfers back and forth. And the theory more or less goes that you've got all these parallel kind of membranes And each membrane is a universe. And these membranes contract and expand. And when two of them get too close and touch, boom, you've got a big bang. It reorganizes all the energy and all the matter on those two membranes that touched. And these can take billions or longer years, like hundreds of billions of years or whatever it is, which is an interesting theory to solve, like where did all the matter come from or all the energy come from?
So, let's do a cigar check. Are you halfway yet?
Oh, yeah.
I'm slowing down on mine because it's getting too hot, and I can taste that what I perceive as cinnamon flavor burning a little too hot. But otherwise, it's been very good. Still sweet. It's got a little burnt on the end of it for me, but very similar.
Okay. Yeah,
not as sweet and not as cinnamony.
Yeah, I've been digging it so far. I haven't been smoking as fast, but I have been focusing more on the cigar than my beer. I agree. It's not as sweet. It's not as cinnamony.
So I let it rest there for probably a minute, and the cinnamon's back. It's
okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to slow down on it, I think.
I think I will, too, because I had let it sit there as I was listening to you and getting another beer and all that sort of stuff. And then I took another puff, too, and the cinnamon was back. So I think this one, you got to be a little bit careful on smoking too fast, it's easy to smoke really fast at the beginning when you have a sweet cigar like this, at least for me, because it's like, oh, yeah, hit me with that. But
yeah, it's an easy trap to fall into. For me as well.
So far I've been liking it. Even the puffs that weren't overly cinnamony, or maybe I was puffing a little too fast, weren't unenjoyable. They were still good. I like it better with the cinnamon. So slower is the way to go. It just
kind of slowly dawned on me, like, oh, you should slow down.
Yes. All right. The next possible explanation would be false memory and confabulation. Confabulation is when the brain fabricates memories to fill in gaps, especially after trauma, seizures, or unconsciousness. The story could have emerged from a brief seizure or fainting episode, hypoxia, low oxygen to the brain, causing intense memory generation, or temporal lobe activation, a region associated with memory, emotion, and perception. In moments of extreme disorientation, the brain might have stitched together years of memory instantly, even though they never occurred. So the emotional weight of the false memories felt real because the brain can't easily distinguish from imagined and real emotional experience. So even if the memories weren't true, the emotions he felt during the fake memories would have registered just the same as real emotions.
Sure.
And have you heard, Mike, that smell is one of the most powerful memory triggers?
I have, actually. I have. That's why I don't smell anything.
You're an anosmiac. So that's not that smell has anything to do with this instance, but the memories, or what you would think would be the strongest emotional connector, might not actually be, because I'm pretty sure it's smell. And you might think it's something. Well, I don't know. I mean, you might think it's like, oh, the song or a movie or a phrase.
I don't know. When I was younger, I was trained on how to create like memory cues on objects. So that's difficult because for my entire life, I've purposefully created memory cues on objects or on sounds or triggers since I was in middle school, probably high school, middle school. So it's impossible for me to
remember the names of the Great Lakes, or is this?
Well, it's exactly it. So it's like a test taking. It's like a test taking cheat sheet, right? Like, so when you're studying, you try to focus on
like a mnemonic.
You associate the memory with an object or with a sound or with a jingle in your head, and then you can you can try to memorize the jingle and then play the jingle in your head, and then you'll remember this concept for this test. And the more complex the test, the more information you can pack into, like, I'm going to check my watch, and then that'll tell me George Washington's birthday or whatever,
Okay.
And you just trick it, because if you know what's on it, you can study, and then boom, you can recall data more efficiently.
And how much psychological damage has that done to you, Mike?
I don't know. I know I got a very good score on my biological test.
I mean, does it still work, or does it fade if you don't constantly practice it?
Oh, it fades. It fades.
Okay.
But I have memories of like classrooms, and if I visualize like my old classroom that I did this test in, I'll remember information off that test. Like you can visualize it, bring yourself to that place, and then you can memorize. You use the same thing in sports. You use visualization to memorize key sequences, and that's what training's all about, and like all the mental side of games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How about for you? Did you ever do any tricks like that, or do you have a natural trigger?
No, I don't. I don't think I have any tricks like that. School kind of came easy to me, and I believe that test taking is a skill. And for a long time, I said, I could probably pass any test you give me without knowing the subject matter. Because a lot of the tests, especially if it's multiple choice, you've always got the one or two answers that are just completely ridiculous. So it's easy to throw those out. And then you've got maybe two left that are very similar. And if you have to guess, C is statistically the most likely correct answer across all of multiple choice test taking. So you don't really need to know the subject matter because you can weed out the very obviously bad ones pretty quickly. And then you're left with two, and then it's a 50-50 game. It's not a 1 in 4 chance. You've got a 50-50 shot at it. So
absolutely. And it's even more than that because all of the above or none of the above is statistically more likely, and you're not likely to have more than a run of 3. You're unlikely to have a run of 3 all season in a row, and it's almost impossible to get 4. So if you skip the ones you don't know, you can fill in and use that other data set to increase your prediction. I've said the same thing, actually, that if I have even a tertiary understanding of whatever we're talking about, I can pass a multiple choice test, especially if it's 4 questions. If it's 5, it's a little bit more difficult, but not by much.
Yeah,
not to get a C. Not to get a C. 70% is not impossible. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Unless your answers are all like an electrical license test, the answers are code references. So it's like, there's no, if it's all numbers like that, then you can't use that strategy.
Yeah.
Unless you know a little bit about the code and you can it's not in 250, it's not, you can still eliminate it, but you have to have the background knowledge to be able to guess.
Yeah. And there's more educated guesses than non-educated guesses. And if it's not something that's hyper technical, I feel I can pass any test. Give me a test, multiple choice, I'll pass it. I might not have the best grade, but I'll pass it. And actually what I did, Mike, and this was, when we were in school, we had the TI-83 graphing calculators. And for all of the math things, I made my own programs on there because you could code your own programs. And I would code my own programs for all of these calculus things and all these other things. And I coded them so completely that I would just read the question, I'd put in the 2 or 3, whatever the variables were, and it would spit out the answer. So I didn't have to sit there and go through all the order of operations and all that bullshit because I just coded it into the calculator. And my programs were so effective that my calculus teacher prohibited me from sharing these programs with other users because you take that 3.5 millimeter jack and you could transfer your programs off your calculator. And a lot of kids were sharing games this way. You could play asteroids, you could play story text-based games on your graphing calculators. And as the lecture was going on in these classes, I was coding a program to do all the problems that this section of the book was on, so that when it came time to do the test, I had one big calculus program, and I would just go in and click the right function, and then I would just input the unknowns, and it would find the right thing. And when it came time to do the other tests, if there was something that involved a lot of memorization, you know what I did, Mike? I just made a program on my calculator, and I made the program so it wouldn't run, but I could go into the program, and it would just have all the answers pasted there in text, and I would just read it, and then I would put it on the test. And nobody checked because they weren't used to people doing that on calculators, I guess, at the time. So it was easiest, the water and the electricity finds like the shortest path between 2 points or something.
Oh, sure. Something like that. Simple physics.
Yeah.
My teachers were hip to that. We were monitored on the programs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had a game that was very similar to Mario Brothers on my calculator. I might still be on there. I still use my old TI calculator for work. So still running.
As long as I still have my calculator, as long as the secondary battery is active, I should have all my programs on there. But yeah, they weren't hip to it when I was there. And I think, I'm 2 grades older than you?
Yeah.
Something like that.
You were ahead enough to where if you guys got in trouble with it, then I suffered the consequences.
Yeah, and I never got caught, so it wasn't me, Mike. It was
there we go.
Chump.
I was a loudmouth. I didn't need my calculator to do math anyway.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I grasped these concepts really quickly, but I hate memorization for some reason. Like, I don't think memorization is a good test. And I saw a quote by Einstein once where somebody asked him like how many feet were in a mile, and he was like, I don't know. And they're like, but you're Einstein. Wouldn't you need to know how many feet are in a mile? And he's like, why would I devote memory space in my brain to memorize something that's in every single fucking textbook on the planet?
He's not wrong.
Well, he's not wrong, and that's the point. And I don't know. I guess I felt like every test was the Kobayashi Maru almost. Like if you didn't, I don't know that I would call it cheating, but just finding unique ways to bring the answers in with you. Like, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was cheating, but I felt like I grasped the mathematical concepts well enough to be able to code the fucking program while the instruction was happening. So, I don't know.
Well, in the modern world, it's not about having it memorized. It's about knowing how to find the answer on the internet.
Knowing how to find it and then knowing how to apply it.
Yeah, like you don't need
Those
to memorize it.
skills.
You just need to know how to find it quickly, and that's about it. So that skill is the real skill. Can you find it quickly?
Yep. And this is a little bit of an aside, but since we're talking about it, I had somebody reach out to me on email and they said, hey, could you go and finish your, I don't know what they call them. I don't know, your technical evaluation. And I'm like, what is this in reference to? I mean, everything looked kind of familiar on the email, but I was like, this doesn't seem like a recent thing. And I looked it up after I sent the reply, and it was 3 years ago, from 2022. I applied for this like program. It was a paid program to teach you computer coding and stuff. And at the time, 3 years ago, it was a in-person, like 3-week long thing where they paid you $15 an hour. And I'm like, I can't take 3 weeks off of work paid because one, I don't have that much vacation time. And two, like anything over a certain amount of time, you have to go on FMLA. And like, I'm not going to do that for a $15 an hour training program. And so she responded back and she's like, yeah, I know it's changed. And it's like 90% self-driven, right? So like on my own time. But they wanted a HTML test, a SQL test, and a Java test. And they give you like a prompt and they want you to write this code. And I'm very familiar with HTML and CSS, not very familiar with SQL. I've been trying to learn and, moderately familiar with Java. And so what I ended up doing was I just put the prompt in ChatGPT. It gave me the fucking code and I pasted it in there. And they're like, yeah, and if we schedule the technical interview, you have to explain what every line of the code does. But in code, you can put in what each line does, which ChatGPT does. So you can just have it say what each line of the code does. So if they ask you, what does this line of the code do? You can just look at the code, or you can say, hey, just check my notes. But you have to also know what you're doing, because I had a few instances where what I saw wasn't what I was expecting. So then I could go back and say, okay, what's going on here? I want it to look like this, which goes back to your point, Mike, of like, you have to know how to find the information. And these AI things are really good at writing just basic code. And if you want them to behave a certain way, you can do that, but you have to know what it is you want it to do. And you have to know what it's supposed to look like. Because I called out the ChatGPT thing on the SQL program, and I was like, your output doesn't look how I expect it to look. And it was like, oh, good call. And I'm like, what? No, you don't tell me good call. You start apologizing. But then I remembered, Terminator and Terminator 2 and all that stuff. And I'm like, nah, okay, yeah, you can be a little sassy with me. That's fine.
It's always interesting talking to the AI or interacting with the AI. Because it's always like, oh, yeah, I didn't consider that. It's like, motherfucker, I'm asking you to do analysis. Like, I shouldn't know more than you.
Yeah. Well, and here's the funniest thing, Mike, is I did all that, and then I emailed this lady back right away and said, hey, I finished those. Let me know what the next step is with the technical interview and everything. And it's been a week and a half, and I haven't heard diddly squat. So, like, thank God I didn't spend hours upon hours trying to finish these assignments on my own.
Right.
Because they're just going to fucking ghost me anyway. Anyway. All right. The next explanation of this lamp story is psychological dissociation or a trauma response. So it's basically saying if the man was under severe stress, loneliness, or trauma in his real life prior to this incident where he was assaulted, his brain may have created a psychological refuge. Dissociative episodes can cause feelings of living outside the body, alternate identities or life narratives, or detachment from physical reality. The brain might have constructed a vivid fantasy life as a coping mechanism, one that tragically ended when reality reasserted itself.
That's a version of the DMT.
Yeah, it's a version of kind of like the DMT one, even the first one. Like, obviously, it was a traumatic experience being assaulted by someone that big or by anybody, but enough so that the police officer brought them directly to the hospital themselves. Right. So we know it was a traumatic experience.
Right. And that's a major no-no. That's the part that I don't believe.
Yeah. That the police officer wouldn't wait.
Oh my God. You'd be in so much trouble.
Dude.
You are taking so much liability at that point. Like, you're a fool if you take on that liability.
Yeah. Going through a lot of first aid training and things and being an Eagle Scout, I'm not a first responder, but I know that anytime there's any kind of neck or head injury, you do not move the person. You do not move the person at all. Head or neck injury, you do not move the person. That's why they have the hard backboards that the first responders and EMTs and things have to put on there, and they strap the head in with the huge pads and everything to minimize damage. So I kind of agree with you, Mike. I mean, this is this person's memory of this thing. And if it were that traumatic that they invented a 10-year gap or 10-year span in their internal memory that didn't actually happen, is their memory of being placed in the back of a police car true, or is that invented? Then you get into kind of the unreliable narrator situation.
Sure. And I guess maybe if it was like one of these colleges in a town of 500 people, like the college is 5,000 and the town exists to support the college. Everybody works for the college. They might not have that cop might have known the ambulance was already at Farmer Johnson's place 30 miles away.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could have been a very small college. It could have, who knows? It could have been a technical college. They didn't really say, I don't think. And maybe the police officer was a first responder, and maybe they assessed the situation and determined that there was no, who knows? They didn't go into the background of that. That wasn't the point of the story, I don't think. But again, that's one of those things where you're talking, the creepypasta type posts where once you start digging into it, like it sounds good on the first read and you're like, holy fuck, like what? And then the more you dig into it, you're kind of like, well, I don't really know. This seems a little too convenient. But again, I don't know. I'm willing to believe that this one is true based on some of these other scientific things that we've looked at. All right, the next one, and a lot of these are kind of like, trauma response. Yeah, you think? All right, psychological. Oh, no, wait, we did we did that one. Okay, and the next one is spiritual, mystical interpretations. Some believe he may have experienced reincarnation memory leakage, remembering a past or parallel life, a soul journey or spiritual visitation, or a test or message from beyond using the lamp as a symbol to awaken him. In mystical traditions, Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, Gnostic thought, reality is considered non-linear, and alternate lifetimes are accessible under altered states.
Sure.
All right, so as an atheist, I don't really give much credence to a lot of the religious explanations or spiritual or mystical. But again, like reincarnation is an interesting concept, I believe. I don't believe necessarily in reincarnation, but it's an interesting concept. Past lives and whatnot.
It's a concept for sure.
Yes. I'm not saying I believe it, but it's one of those ones that, can be fairly interesting. I mean, there's people that believe they're Napoleon or whatever.
Dude, when I was a kid, I went to church camp.
Yeah.
And there was a kid that brought up something he believed was true. And he told this weird evangelical priest guy.
Sure.
The plot line of a fucking Billy Crystal movie where he died and went to heaven. So, what people can believe a lot of shit. Especially if you start them young. So, belief is irrelevant as far as making adult decisions.
Yes, that is very true. How much of your cigar do you have left, Mike?
I have about 1.5 inches left, I'd say.
Okay, yeah, I probably got 2 inches left. Yeah, so I guess in terms of this one, Mike, do you have any more thoughts on this? I mean, you've never heard this story before.
I've never heard this story before. I don't really have any additional thoughts because even if it's not true, it doesn't make a difference, right? Like, there's plenty of scientific explanations that would explain why it could be true to that person.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's kind of like, and I don't know if you and I have discussed it, but it's like the idea of the most beautiful person on earth. That's an opinion. Like, I think I've said it on the show before, like, about some celebrity woman. Like, there's at least one man on Earth that thinks that Gal Gadot is the most beautiful woman on Earth. For sure. Yeah. At least one. Like, that doesn't make it true, right? Just like the local hot chick. Like, there's at least one guy in your local area that thinks that she's the hottest chick on Earth. Like, for sure, believes it. Whether that guy is sane or not, it's another matter, but you know that he's there, right? So, like, you create your own reality to an extent.
That is true.
So.
And it reminds me of one of my favorite things I've ever seen in a bar bathroom. There was a sticker on the mirror in the men's restroom, and it said, no matter how hot she is, someone somewhere is sick of her bullshit.
And it's true.
So it goes both ways. And yeah, the whole point is whether or not the story is true doesn't really matter. The point is that the brain is very confusing and not as understood as maybe we would like it to be. And your brain can tell you a lot of things that aren't true. And you can believe them 100%, you know. I think if it is true, sure. it's very sad because, you know, you have what you think is 10 years of interpersonal relationships, family relationships and things, and all of a sudden, like, poof, it's all gone.
Right. It's you've had this experience most likely, and I think we've talked about it on the show probably like 2 seasons ago. But if you go far enough into the wilderness, like you start seeing the fairies, like your mind starts playing tricks on you. And it's not like you literally see a fairy, but you start seeing shit that's not there. Movement, you know, patterns.
Like which you believe at the time.
You can trick yourself into believing it. You can believe it's true for sure. And if you can see how 1,000 years ago, how people would say there's fairies in the fucking forest. For sure. Like those stories make all the sense in the world if you've ever been into the wilderness alone for long enough to where you borderline start to hallucinate because you're seeing stuff that you know isn't real. Like, there isn't movement in the grass. You know, like there's not a snake coming at you or a lion hiding in the whatever, right? There are no lions in rural South Dakota. So it's not a lion.
There are in North Dakota, but North Dakota doesn't exist. So they can
exactly.
I guess, and the other thing too that we didn't really talk about with this story in a sense is, and one of the theories kind of talked about it, but if this person, they didn't give any background on what their life was like. If they were incredibly lonely in their real life, it would almost be the same as going and just daydreaming, right? And maybe they had a daydream like this, or maybe they, you know, had a fantasy they were actively engaging in their real life, and then this traumatic experience happened, and they just popped into it, you know?
Well, right. That's not a coincidence.
Entirely possible, too.
It's not a coincidence that these near-death experiences people have and going to heaven, like, it's not happening to atheists, all right? It's happening to people who are either ex-religious or currently religious. Yeah. Like people like me, where I was raised in I went to church camp 7 years. Yeah. Right. And I went to catechism and all that shit. Like that sort of programming is inside of me. So I could theoretically have a near-death experience and go to heaven. Like that's a part of my imagination. So it's not where I'd want to go necessarily, but you know, it's possible, right?
Well, you go to heaven for the weather and hell for the company is what I've heard. So, I mean, and I grew up religious too. And I just, fought against it and everything. And I thought the Christian version of heaven, sitting around singing hymns to God is incredibly boring. Like, why would I want to spend every waking moment or every moment? Because you don't sleep, I guess, in heaven.
Right.
Like singing hymns. Like the hymns are not that much of a banger. So I don't know what to tell you. They suck.
I like Gregorian chant, but...
Dude, same.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and I say that unironically. Like, I do like Gregorian chants.
Oh, no, I used to... So I got in a little bit of trouble years ago on a job because I would open up in the morning with Gregorian chant. We were the first people there.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, I think.
Yeah, we were the first people there, and my coworker and I would listen to Gregorian chant for about an hour, and then, you know, the tile guys or whoever would show up, and then they'd want to listen to yeehaw music, and then we'd all put our headphones on.
I think I had a whole Gregorian chant CD at one time when CDs were still a thing.
I ripped it. I ripped like 3 or... Yep. I had like a whole album.
Yeah, I still remember I took a world music class in college, and that's where I first came across Gregorian chants, because that was, you know, internet was still in its kind of very, very early days. And
dude, I got mine from the UND library.
There you go.
I ripped all their CDs.
I should check my computer because I have a massive music library. As much
Yeah,
as I do enjoy the streaming services, but again, like things that I like, I have. So I should check and see if I still have the Gregorian, the Gregorian chant stuff.
I know I do. I have it all. I have a hard drive somewhere floating around. No idea where it is, to be honest with you.
Gregorian chants. He's got the Gregorian chant.
The Gregorian chants.
Hard drive. It's like 2, petabytes or something?
Yeah, something like that. No, I have like a lot of media from when I was younger.
Same.
I probably have 6 gigabytes, not gigabytes. Terabytes. 6 gigabytes.
Yeah, 6 gigabytes.
6 gigabytes.
Hey, back in the day, that was massive, dude.
My first flash drive was 128 kilobytes. Dude.
Yeah. I remember paying like $80 for one of those. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I had to buy the SD cards because I was shooting on SD cards. And to get like a 16 gigabyte thing was like $75, $80. And now I can go to Micro Center and buy a 64 gigabyte card for like $2.99. $2.99. I can get, I don't know, you can get a one gigabyte one or a 1 terabyte one or something for, I don't know, $20. I don't know what it is, but they're crazy cheap now.
Oh, the prices are insane. I just recently looked up for a new flash drive. And
Sure.
For $35, you can get like a half a terabyte. And when I was in college, I ran a 4 gigabyte flash drive I bought for $35. Ran a little microcomputer on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, with 250 gigs, man, you can run you could run a computer on that.
You can run a
Like
lot.
a fully functional computer.
Yeah, I just upgraded my media center at home. I built it on a Raspberry Pi, and I was running off like an 8 gig SD card. And so I bought for, I don't know, $5. I bought this 64 gig card to put in, and I just cloned, because the operating system's on this SD card, but flash drives, they're really only supposed to last for about five years on average. And this one's been running for maybe 10 years or, 8 years or something like that. And it was booting up really slow. And for a couple bucks, like less than $10, I got, I don't know what, like 8 gigs to 64 gigs, whatever that math works out to be, like that percent increase. And it's crazy, like the technology we have these days.
Correction. It's crazy if you know how to use it for what you want it to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most powerful tool in the toolbox right now. That's for sure. If you know how to get what you want out of it, which is not that hard. Like you don't need to get into programming code to be able to get out what you need, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much of this stuff where you've got these old drives, and I just did this for my wife too. She had this really old computer. It sucks hardcore, and it took like 8 minutes to boot up into the operating system. And she's like, I really want to, use this laptop to learn this new thing so she can take some tests and stuff and advance her career. And I was looking up this computer, and basically the drive that they shipped with is some kind of like, because the hard drives are different. You've got, data storage drives, which are super fucking slow. And it's really just there to store data and last forever. And basically it was just a really fucking slow drive, and it was an old drive. And so I got I just had one. I just had one sitting around. It was like a terabyte drive SSD flash drive, not even a disk. And she had an old disk drive. And I pulled out both drives and I stuck them into my Linux laptop and ran the clone feature, popped the new SSD in there, and everything was exactly the same, except it booted up in like 18 seconds. And everything runs super fast. So
heck yeah,
we've come a long way.
That's what technology can do for you.
We've come a long way.
Well, yeah. I mean, I helped my parents get some laptops recently. Yeah. And I just bought a laptop for the show. And
yes,
you can get
I've been running off my new one, new to me, for a few episodes now too. So I upgraded my laptop for the show too. Anyway.
Yep. Yeah, and for $500 you can get a really good machine, and for $1,000, if you don't get a good screen and you get the crappy keyboard, and you have to select the components you don't want to have nice. You can get a good running computer for $1,000 now. I mean, the screen sucks on my laptop, and the keyboard sucks, and the touchpad sucks. But the hardware itself is extremely fast.
Yeah.
It's kind of impressive.
Yeah. Well, and Mike and I are a little different because I run Linux on my laptops. And I bought this laptop and it was less than $200. And it's got an NVIDIA graphics card which is like a 400+% improvement over my old laptop, which will help when we do when we do want to do video on some of our episodes, Mike, because the video card has built-in RAM. It's got a lighted keyboard, which is awesome. But I checked the Linux forums to see which laptops are the best for Linux and which ones are easy to upgrade the components on. So on my old laptop that I use for the show, I upgraded the Wi-Fi card because that's one of the first things you want to upgrade usually on these things. But on a lot of these laptops, and I don't know, depending on yours, Mike, you can actually drop in new screens and things, and it's fairly easy to do, and new keyboards and whatnot. Like a lot of these components can be swapped out. It depends, because if it's like a Chromebook, you're pretty much stuck with what you got. But if it's like it's a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Extreme, and you can swap a lot of the components out and stuff. But out of the box, it's way better than the one that I had. Is the point. But you can upgrade the RAM on it and everything. So
yeah, I got one that I won't need to upgrade. By the time it ages out, I'll just buy another one.
Yeah, the
screen and it'll just be wore out.
Sure,
but it's strong enough for me to do picture and video editing, which is what I wanted it for. Plus the show. My other laptop was probably aging out for everything.
Yeah. Mine was too. And even though I do run Linux, and it's a lighter load to run Linux than Windows or Mac. But even so, you still have components that need to be more modern. So that's why I decided to upgrade a bit. And the screen is at least an inch plus bigger than the old screen, which is very nice. Like, it's crazy how big a difference an inch makes. That's what she said.
That's right. Now, my screen on mine's so bad that even when I bought it, the guy was like, "Oh, you sure you want the screen? Blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, yeah, I don't care what the screen looks like. If it looks that bad, I'll buy a monitor.
Yeah, you can buy a monitor. And what I'm saying, Mike, is I've replaced a lot of components on laptops. So if you wanted a fancier screen, I'm sure I could figure out a way to help you out.
Well, thank you. Yeah, my screen's so bad that I handed it over to somebody and they touched it because they thought it looked like a touch screen because it's so dark.
Oh, sure. Sure. And you've tweaked your brightness settings and everything, I'm sure.
Oh, it's at maximum brightness.
Yeah, I've been tempted by like just getting a little because they have little USB like secondary monitors for computers that are super fucking cheap. And I was like, oh, that'd be great for the show because I have like another monitor and I could monitor. I could keep like notes open or our rating list open and the control, the recording panel open and whatnot.
I've considered moving the setup to where I can have a second screen as well.
Yeah.
But haven't got there yet.
Yeah. I don't have anything else on this episode. I'm nearing the end of the cigar, and it's really not very pleasant at the end here.
No, the end, that burnt cinnamon flavor kind of took over.
Yeah.
So not a good end, in my opinion. But I will say that the start of that cigar was something else.
The start was really good. And it just kind of progressively got worse. I mean, not progressively got worse, I guess. The start was fantastic, and then it kind of mellowed and settled, and the end got kind of bad. So, I don't know. I see what you did. I don't know. I feel like that's crazy rating, dude, but let me think here. I'm going to give it this. I don't know. I don't think it was... I didn't like it as much as you. I gave this one a 2.25.
Ooh, so explain. Why so harsh? You like this less than the Columbia.
I did, which we haven't smoked yet. But I did.
Oh, yeah, I suppose we haven't.
No, we smoke in different orders to release in different orders. But I was looking at like the Serie R Maduro, and I don't know why. Like that, I gave that one a 2.5. And I gave this Isla del Sol Robusto a 2.25 because the start was very good. It was very, very good. And then it settled into kind of like, just kind of like a mediocre. Like it was fine. It wasn't overly cinnamony. I would have liked a little more cinnamon throughout the rest of it. And then the end got very burnt and nasty, and I had to relight it. And I was smoking it slow. That's why I had to relight it. And it just slowly got worse and worse and worse. And I wanted more consistency, I guess. And I wanted more cinnamon flavor. And maybe I'm wrong for wanting those things, but you gave it a 3.75, 3.25.
I just altered my score.
Okay.
I altered my score. You convinced me. Because, so I wanted this cigar to be a 4 because the front was so good. That first quarter was really good.
Oh, it was.
And then I slowed down, and it was really decent in the middle. That middle half was really decent. It wasn't as good as the first quarter was. If it would have stayed that good, I'd put this into 5 territory.
Yeah.
Right? It would have been a 5 territory. And then the end, I did smoke it till it burned my finger. But it was no longer a pleasantly flavored cigar. It was like a burnt cinnamon cigar.
Yeah.
So, which isn't entirely unpleasant, but it's not what you sign up for.
No, it's not the promise of the first few puffs.
Right. And in hindsight, or thinking about it, analyzing it, that's the opposite direction where you need a cigar to go. You don't want it to start off good and then get worse.
Yeah. I mean, it started off great and went to good and then kind of like slowly. And it took some time because it did it so slowly where I was like, wait a second. And then you were like, oh, yeah, I got to slow down. And then the cinnamon came back and I'm like, I'm going to let it sit for a minute. And then, the cinnamon came back and I was like, oh, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be because everything was so gradual. It was hard to tell when the shifts were happening, but it kind of did. It kind of started off really great and then slowly got less and less and less great. And that's fine. But when you start off that strong, I would expect at least 3/4 of it to be pretty damn good. Like I'm okay with the last bit being kind of like whatever, because the last bit is maybe the trickiest part of most cigars. But, coming off that CAO, I mean, we smoked the CAO first, the CAO Colombia Robusto.
For the record, was not the original plan that I came up with.
It was not the original plan.
It was not.
But that one was very consistent. That was like a laser beam consistent. And this one just slowly got worse. And it was very, very slow. So it's not terrible. But by the end, I was kind of like, why am I smoking this again? And like Mike, I wanted it to be really good. Like the way it started out, I was thinking, geez, like if I don't want a vanilla flavored cigar, the Moon Trance, but I want a flavored cigar, like this one could be a contender. But
the start of that, I
right?
saved the label because at the start of the cigar, I was like, oh, I might be buying more of these. I can tell you guys, I will not be buying more of these. There will be no more added to the brand new humidor. That is for sure. That is for sure.
No.
So, I don't think I said that on the show. Well, of course, we're at the end, so we can jabber a little bit.
Yeah, you can jabber a little bit.
So I recently bought a new humidor used from a woman who her husband had passed away, and she had inherited this, and they had not used it as a humidor, a real humidor, for a long time. And she was very excited that I was going to use it as a real humidor. Nice. And it's one of the old style chests that's copper lined, and got to retack it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to seal the back with a little silicone or not, and then rebuild a shelf and get it all seasoned and stuff. But I'm pretty excited, so I can clean up my
awesome.
Yeah, I can clean up my office a little bit and get my 2 show humidors out of here, and I'll probably give one away. The other one's a little broke, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but we'll figure it out.
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to go pick up some stuff. I know our sometimes listener, not a guest, but the one we got the Espinosa the Dude cigars from. He's done with cigars, and I was like, hey, man, you got any like leftover cigars or, paraphernalia or whatever? And he said, yeah, I got, like the humidor and some cigars. I trashed the shitty cigars or the cheap cigars. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And I'm like, I'd be interested. What do you want for him? He's like, I just come pick them up. So I'll be picking them up. I think it's just like the acrylic jar humidor that I had suggested to him at when he was into those. But, there's those people that are into a hobby for a few months or a year or two, and then they move on to something else. So
absolutely. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing
wrong with it at all. It's that saying, right? Like people always say like, oh, jack of all trades or something. And they say it like in a derogatory sense. And the true quote is like, better to be a jack of all trades than a master of one. Meaning like it's better to be well-rounded and have some knowledge on a wide breadth of things than be like hyper-focused on one thing.
Right. That's not rewarded in our society. That's why, we've been brainwashed into thinking that it's bad, but it's not.
Well, there's so many of these quotes, and maybe that's a whole other episode where people only say like half of it. and they don't say the rest of it. And so they have confused the meaning of the original quote, and they're using it to do something that's like a perversion of what the original quote was intended.
Well, yeah, and that's easy to do. If you are a negative actor, which we know that there are,
Yeah.
that sort of manipulation is easy to accomplish.
Yes. The biggest one, and I might as well mention it since I brought it up, is you've heard blood is thicker than water, right?
Yes, and I know what you're about to say, so please continue.
Yeah, and the true quote is not blood is thicker than water. It's blood of the choosing is thicker than the water of the womb, which means exactly the opposite of what a lot of these people mean when they say blood is thicker than water, like you should obey your family over everything else. And the true quote is basically saying that familial ties are way less thick than people you actively choose to be involved with.
And in many cases, that is wisdom for sure.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tough to recommend this one, honestly. I enjoyed it, though, I guess, for the most part, until the end. If you find yourself overly happy and starting to notice a weird lamp or something, maybe ignore the lamp, I guess. I don't know. Depends on your mentality with things, but if you're enjoying yourself, man, ignore the lamp.
Ignore the lamp. Yeah, I don't recommend the cigar unless this is kind of like the Columbia. If you are a regular cigar smoker and you are aware of the issues with the cigar, I think you could have an enjoyable experience smoking it, which is why I rated it so high.
Yeah.
I think I could smoke a second one of these going into it with the right knowledge and enjoy it a lot more the second time. Yeah. Which I find a lot of times with the cigars that we try on the show is that I smoked it once, I analyzed it, and the second time around I liked it more.
Sure. I don't know that the last 2 inches or so would change because that was...
No.
I'm still
You'd have a
it.
good front. The first half of the cigar would be a lot better. And then the second half would be not as bad, but I don't think there's anything you can do to prevent that.
Likely not. Anyway, be safe out there trick-or-treating in 2 days. I hope you get lots of your favorite candies. I know there's a big debate on Three Musketeers versus Snickers. Some people think Three Musketeers is too much nougat. I always like the Snickers. I don't know. I generally like most of the candies. I'm not a huge Almond Joy person, and I'm one of those people that do like the candy corn. I do like the candy corn, and a lot of people hate the candy corn.
Dude, I am pro team candy corn, and my wife hates it. And also,
perfect
this is
for
just,
you. You get to eat it all.
It's perfect for me. I love the candy corn. And also, Team Musketeer and Team Snickers are wrong. Team Milky Way is the only way.
Milky Way is really good. Milky Way is really good. I really like the 100 gram.
100 gram bars are good, dude. They're really good. Underrated.
You don't get them a whole lot. Bar. I don't know why. You get a lot of the Snickers and Milky Ways. You don't get a lot of 100 grams.
Oh, Sarah loves Reese's. And it's not that I don't like Reese's.
I love Reese's.
Reese's ice cream is better than a Reese's. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I like the Reese's Pieces better than the Reese's Cups. But
yeah, Reese's Pieces are pretty good.
If you want a peanut butter cup that's really good, you got to go to Trader Joe's. They got a dark chocolate peanut butter cup. They come in a bucket, and they come in a 99-cent plastic pack. Those things are really good. There's some really good. The Aldi ones, the Aldi peanut butter cups are really good too because they've got really thick chocolate that snaps. But they're milk chocolate. And I think if they ever came out with a dark chocolate, that'd be the top. But anyway, I hope you get lots of candy that you like or your kids like, or you can steal from your kids or parent tax, whatever it is. And thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.
If it feels good, do it. Be safe, have fun.
Unless it's random sex hookups.
Highly unwise. Highly unwise.